We all have those pieces of info that we learned way too late into us playing the game. And today, I'm going to go over some tips that I wish I had known much earlier in my Apex career. Whether you're a new player or an experienced one, today we're going to talk about some must-know advanced Apex knowledge. So, the first thing I want to talk about is just how powerful doors are. If you fully understand how to abuse doors, there are so many situations where you can use them to your advantage. The basics of this are closing them on enemies who are pushing you or blocking them off while you heal. But as you really start to branch out with how you use them, you can gain some really big advantages. One trick I like to use is to open the door and then close it on yourself when you're standing in the doorway. This allows your body to keep the door open and allows you to peek the door at the tightest angle possible while having the door ready to close instantly if you back up. This can be great for dealing damage while staying safe by using the door to block potential damage. Early game doors are also exceptionally strong because you can usually count on enemies not having nades or a charged up rampage to break them down. Just keep in mind that good door usage stems from having a good understanding of the fight and making on-the-fly decisions. If you can keep tabs on enemies when you're fighting around buildings, you can use doors to get the jump on people or give yourself some time to get your bearing. Next up, let's talk about one of the most important settings in the entire game, field of view. Having your FOV at a higher value to allow for more info on your screen is really valuable if you're looking to perform and understand more in the game. However, this being said, remember that this setting also impacts your aim sensitivity. For this reason alone, FOV should be something that you decide on early and you don't adjust much. Most players sit between 100 and 120. Personally, I like to play the highest setting because it allows me to see more things. Some people don't like that though because of the fishbowl effect. Feel free to play around with this and find your sweet spot, but don't adjust it unless you're fully prepared to get used to a new sensitivity or retune your sense as well. Another thing I wish I had realized earlier on is the value of VOD reviewing with a better player. I've done this with my teammates and coaches in the past, and it has brought me so much value. If you're looking for this, the best way to get this is to get a coaching session over at ProGuides.com. There, you can find top-level players trained to give you incredible feedback and ready to VOD review with you or help you level up your game in a variety of customized coaching options. Check it out at the top link in the description below and commit to improving. So, while every legend is strong, one type in particular stands out as a game changer. These legends are legends that offer mobility to the entire team. These types of legends give their team high mobility, which completely changes the game. The biggest example of this is Valkyrie, whose ultimate allows her entire team to relocate across the map. These types of abilities change how games play out by giving squads a ton more options on how to approach rotations, as well as bailing them out of a bad position. While you don't have to play Valk, understanding how she affects the game and looking to have her or another mobility champ in your squad will help you a ton in your matches. While certain legends like we talked about above can really adjust the game for your team, in most other scenarios, your pick actually means very little. If you're honestly comfortable on your pick enough to not get yourself killed and have good aim and movement, you can be a very good player. The underlying mechanics of the game are what's important. If you have solid aim, understanding of the game, and know how to position well, you're going to be good no matter what legend you're on. Rather than obsessing over every little thing on a legend, take the time to be comfortable with your core inputs on the game. There's so many players that get hung up trying to min-max their character for all they're worth, when in most situations, if you focus on your aim and hit your shots, you would be better off. Now, don't get me wrong, being good on a legend is important, but there's much more to being good at Apex than having that one main that you're an expert on. When talking about guns, having attachments actually really makes a big difference. Good examples of this are the barrel stabilizer and the mag. Weapons like the R301 become incredibly strong if they have both of these attachments. This is a good example of a gun that is pretty easy to use, and the extra bullets allow it to suddenly one-clip enemies with ease. The Rampage is another example of a weapon that gets a ton of benefit from one attachment, just like a stabilizer. This weapon's kick is pretty gnarly, and even just getting a white stabilizer can help you control the recoil so much. These types of specifics apply for every weapon, and understanding the power specs of the guns can really help you identify powerful loadouts during early looting and make the most out of your guns while you progress through the game. Crafting has been strong for a while now, but with the changes to Season 12, you really can't ignore it anymore. With the flatline and the longbow being added to the already existing crafting options, this is a resource that I strongly recommend you put a focus on. Not only do you need to use these if you want to run one of these weapons, but the daily attachments and heals you can craft here are super valuable regardless of the stage of the game. Dropping to a POI with a crafter or rotating to one early on in a game can really smooth out your power climb throughout the game and allow you to be fully prepared for any fight you end up taking. So one more thing I want to touch on regarding legend picks is how unique defensive characters with Fortified really are. Fortified reduces incoming damage by 15% and removes the movement speed reduction when being hit. Caustic and Gibby are the two legends that have this, and it's actually massive when playing as them, and a must-know when playing against them. This damage reduction will make them considerably harder to kill and can really catch you by surprise if you're expecting them to take more damage. When you combine this with the removal of the movement decrease on damage, they're tankier and more mobile in direct combat than a lot of other legends. Good players will use this extra defensiveness to face check you with a shotgun, or just put the pressure on you in general. Understanding this will keep you from pushing that Gibby as an Octane and losing that close 1v1. Another thing a ton of players don't fully realize is just how strong nades really are. Prioritizing them as loot and using them actively throughout the game will help bring you so much more value in fights. From hitting a sky nade to push someone off of high ground, to lobbing one into a building being held down, you really don't have to get fancy with them, but even just throwing an extra couple of nades a game will seriously help you out. If you're dying without using your entire inventory to your advantage, you're leaving a lot of power on the table in every fight. So put a focus on picking up grenades and make sure they're at the core of your gameplay. Another recommendation I've gotta make, even though it seems a bit more basic, is to always look to abuse the movement speed while your weapons are stowed. While Mad Maggie has this passive that lets her move fast with shotties out, everybody else still takes the movement speed hit when moving with a weapon. This might seem minor, but if you're looking to perform advanced movement or even just be fast in a fight, being fluid with stowing your weapons and pulling them back out can really speed you up. Now, you definitely don't want to get caught without your weapon out, so this is why most people will avoid storing their weapons while in a fight. But this is really something you should consider if you're comfortable with this mechanic. If you're in a fight and back off to reposition or find yourself safe from their line of sight, put those guns away and get the most out of your possible movement. And lastly, guys, it's important to realize when the zones truly become a threat and understand your rotation options based on the zone. We all know we should avoid the zone, rotate early, and look to be set up in a ring long before the zone is dealing damage to us. But the bottom line is this doesn't always work out in our games. This is why it's important to understand that zones 1 and 2 don't hit very hard, but zones 3 and beyond start to become a big threat. This can help you to not panic early on if you do get stuck in the zone, but also be open to different rotations. For example, if you're in the second zone and you have a team trying to hold you as you make your way into the next ring, a lot of times you could literally rotate through the zone if needed. These types of moves aren't preferred, but understanding that these actually exist will broaden your game sense. Keep the same respect for zone, just be sure that you aren't giving up too much respect that you just go take a fight and die when you easily could have rotated through zone. So most of these tips are ones that I personally waited way too long to implement into my play when I was learning the game, and some things that I've been putting a regained focus on in my own gameplay here in the new season. If you even take a few of these and apply them to your game, I know you will see instant improvements as a result. Anyway guys, as always, it's been your boy Valued. Let me know in the comments below something you wish that you had learned earlier, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.